Okay, so we're recording, and I want to welcome you all to our health chat tonight. Like I was saying on the pre-call, that we've been doing some health chat series with our team and our group, which is always a lot of fun. But it's always a treat to have a guest speaker, and I happen to be married to our guest speaker tonight, so I'm really happy to introduce him. Some of you were on our chat last month when we were talking about Dr. Steve Cheney's new book, Slaying the Food Myths. I did record that if anybody wants to hear it. It's an excellent book. I recommend it, and it was a good talk with David. And he's back tonight to share more of his expertise with us, and I'm really, really pleased to introduce him. For those of you who don't know my husband, let me just, I always write notes because I want to make sure I catch everything about him. I live with him, and I know him well, but sometimes when you're doing these, you kind of forget something that you wanted to mention. So many of you know that David has his background as a pharmacist. He has a PharmD and also a PhD in chemistry. He's a research professor at the University of Mississippi here in Oxford. And David works in the School of Pharmacy, training pharmacy students, and he works in his research. He does research on dietary supplements and also pharmaceuticals from natural products, and works at the Natural Products Center also on campus, which he may share a little bit more about. He has almost 40 publications in top scientific journals, which is not an easy feat. And some of his work has been reported in the Wall Street Journal and commercialized. And so he's on the Shackley Field Science team, and he's really a nice resource to me with building my Shackley business. Although tonight this isn't a Shackley talk, so those of you who are coming on and wondering about that, it's not that. He's going to be sharing his perspective as an expert in this area with science and looking at dietary supplements. And as you probably know, the title of our talk tonight is Weight Loss Fails. This is an update on the adulteration, specifically in the weight loss supplement area, but I think that he probably can talk across the board there. If you want to hear something that he did a couple of years ago that is archived in the Better Future Starts Today site, which many of us, people that you probably know, have access to. I do, if you don't know somebody, and I'm happy to share that with you. David has two talks on there. One is on the adulteration of dietary supplements, and another one is called How a Supplement is Born, talking about what to look for in a supplement and such. So he really has a lot of knowledge and wealth and of background with this, and tonight he's going to share a little bit more with us. So I'm excited to turn this over to my husband, Dr. David Colby.
Oh, thank you very much. It's great to be back. Good to see that we have a nice size audience. And thank you, Rebecca, for that introduction. Let's see if I can power up my screen share. Okay. And there we go. So yeah, today I want to talk about some weight loss supplements. Weight loss, we're in the summer, that's high on people's mind. Other times that people get really excited about weight loss, obviously, are the first of the year, all the people who make their New Year's resolutions. So I like to talk about weight loss. I not only enjoy talking about this subject, but I also teach on this subject. I teach to pharmacy students. I tell them about dietary supplements, and there are a couple things that I really want them to understand in my class, and that is I want them to understand the very high rates of adulteration and contamination of dietary supplements. That's one of the big take-home messages that they need to know, because many people go to pharmacists for information about dietary supplements. And really the second take-home message that I like to give to my students is, out of all the different uses for dietary supplements, I even had this on my final exam this past semester, what category has the largest amount of adulteration and contamination? Well, that's what we're going to talk about tonight, and that's going to be adulteration in weight loss supplements. Now, prior to this talk, I know Rebecca got some people asking questions. Oh, are you going to talk about this supplement? Are you going to talk about that supplement? I'm using these new supplements. Are you going to discuss that? And really, that's not the purpose of tonight's talk. We're going to talk about adulteration, and I'll spend a little more time defining that in case you're not familiar with that. But generally, if you want to lose weight, the best way to do it is going to be diet and exercise, and then getting appropriate nutrition through supplementation. Now, I'm going to talk about some weight loss supplements. A lot of people will see what they, see the advertisements that they see on the internet or on TV that you can, lose weight fast, lose 30 pounds in 30 days and things like that. I'm going to give you a little more information on that and why, if you really are trying to lose weight yourself or help someone lose weight, you want to just explain to them that, exercise, appropriate nutrition, and good supplementation is the way to do it. So in regards to some of the questions that, we got recently, am I going to talk about these new supplements? There's always some new kid on the block, but the story is always the same. And I'll tell you a story that's really been unfolding because of some events which have happened about 15 years ago. But the story is pretty much the same. And also I'm happy today because I work at the University of Mississippi, and part of our pharmacy school, we have the National Center for Natural Products Research, which really does a tremendous amount of work on dietary supplements. And I really like to highlight some of their breakthroughs and some of their contributions in the area. And I am excited because tonight I do have some very recent work that's come out of the center, which has really helped affect some changes in supplements, as we'll see. So first off, I talk about adulteration quite a bit, but what is adulteration? This is a good question, and let's look at the definition. So in the context of a supplement, whether you're talking about any kind of supplement or a weight loss supplement or something else, normally what you have is a valuable ingredient, some active ingredient, some agent that's going to give you the effect to support whatever type of healthy lifestyle you want to live. But in adulteration, that valuable ingredient, it has been omitted in part, omitted in whole, so that way, even though it's on the label, there's no active ingredient. Adulteration can also be that it's replaced with another substance, such as spiking. That's when you add another active ingredient, or what we'll see as a pharmaceutical agent. Adulteration can also mean something that is contaminated, and that's also usually in the context, an adulterated dietary supplement, especially in the context where you have poor quality or contamination and has been concealed. So that's the purpose of tonight's talk. Is adulteration a problem in weight loss supplements? Well, we're going to find out. So what are the major weight loss supplement ingredients? Was I muted? Can you still hear me? Okay, I'm going to keep talking. What are the common stimulants? So the common stimulants for weight loss supplements, there are two. The first one is going to be caffeine. Now, for most weight loss supplements that work, usually what you want is you want a stimulant. Caffeine's a good one. Why would you want that? Well, because in the context of losing weight, stimulants work. If you imagined if you wanted to lose weight and you're not feeling like exercising, if you took 2 caffeine pills and washed it down with a cup of coffee, what's going to happen to your body? You're going to get really excited, you're going to get really jittery, you're going to want to move. It's because of this, that is why these weight loss supplements, especially those that have stimulants, work, because they get your body wanting to move. And one of the common ingredients in weight loss supplements is, of course, caffeine. Now, caffeine is included in many weight loss supplements, sometimes on the label, sometimes from the different ingredients. Caffeine comes from coffee, it comes from green tea, guarana, and also yerba mate. But keep in mind, for many weight loss supplements, excessive amounts of caffeine are common. The amounts of caffeine can actually be additive. So if it lists caffeine, but then there's also a green tea extract, but they say that's a proprietary blend, then there's probably more caffeine that's actually labeled on the bottle. The other primary ingredient in many weight loss supplements, this is something of the past, is ephedra. Ephedra is mahuang. This is mahuang. Ephedra has been used for thousands of years. This has two stimulants. It has ephedrine and pseudoephedrine. Obviously, if you think of Sudafed, the active ingredient in Sudafed is pseudoephedrine, one of the components of ephedra. Now, ephedra is another supplement. It's a natural product. Oh, wait a minute. These slides might be a bit old. I didn't update. That's strange. Interesting. Okay, hold on a sec. What happened here? Huh. That's weird. All right, well, power this back up. Okay, so some of the cool pictures that I put in and some of the changes might not be on this slide deck. I'm not too sure why. Anyway, as I was talking about ephedra, ephedra is a herb. It's a natural product. It's a Chinese herb. It's been used for thousands of years. However, it was used excessively in weight loss supplements, and because of this need for adding more and more stimulants, many supplements that add more and more ephedra, it was actually banned in 2004, and that's to cardiovascular issues. So people who take ephedra continually, especially in high doses, that can be associated with high blood pressure, arrhythmias, and death. And the FDA finally stepped in 2004 to ban the use of ephedra in dietary supplements because it was being associated with death. And what I have here is a picture of a voucher specimen of ephedra from the National Center for Natural Product Research. So let's talk about the search for new supplements, new stimulants to put into weight loss supplements. Because like I said, most weight loss supplements have a stimulant, and that's what people use to lose weight. So the search was on to find new stimulants for weight loss supplements, and the first thing that started to pop up was this compound called DMAA. So what is that? Well, if it's a chemical name, is dimethylamylamine, and that really is meaningless to you. But what DMAA is it is amphetamine-like stimulant. Most of you have heard of amphetamine. It's a powerful stimulant. You can see I've drawn the structure here of DMAA. It's very similar to amphetamine, so it has amphetamine-like effects. It's a powerful stimulant. So why did they put it in dietary supplements? Well, for a dietary supplement, you actually have to have natural ingredients. So they claimed that this compound was present in isolations or extracts from geraniums. Those are flowers. Now, while that is a way to kind of, you could say, adulterate, because what they were doing is they knew that this stimulant is not present in geraniums. There is a little bit of evidence, primarily lore, which suggests it was, but it actually isn't present in the natural uraniums. But then what they would do is they would spike their supplements with DMAA. At the time, DMAA was a stimulant. It was known to be a stimulant, but it wasn't banned by the FDA. So people who were taking these supplements that were adulterated, so DMAA was added, they had the similar type of cardiovascular issues as ephedra. And this really caused the FDA to have to go and validate that DMAA is not actually present in extracts from geraniums. So what this does is that really gives them a lot of data and evidence to suggest, okay, we have a case, this is being adulterated and spiked with an unsafe compound, and they issued adulteration warnings in 2013. So DMAA was really the first stimulant that came about when ephedra was removed from the market. So we need to find some more stimulants. And so when DMAA was banned, DMBA came on the scene. This is also an amphetamine-like stimulant, but unlike DMAA, this one, there's no reason to even think it's naturally occurring. It's a synthetic compound, it's made in the lab, and it is an unsafe stimulant, so it has all of these cardiovascular issues. So right off the bat, supplements which contain this could be considered adulterated because they were basically spiked with an active compound which is not naturally occurring. Now, why would you think they would do DMBA? Well, obviously, if you want your weight loss, you want to put a powerful stimulant in. The reason why you'd switch to DMBA is because if you know that the federal regulators are checking for DMAA, this one is something different. So you could actually verify that we don't have DMAA present, we have DMBA. So that's really how this one came onto the market. So again, they started spiking it and adding it to produce this stimulant effect, to produce weight loss. It was not safe, but it would avoid any tests for DMAA. So there was a big study that was done. It was published fairly recently, just 4 years ago, by Professor Cohen. He's a professor at Harvard Medical, and he wanted to determine the prevalence in a subset of weight loss supplements. And this is, again, what we're talking about today. He looked at 14 weight loss supplements and also performance-enhancing supplements. All of these were sold in the United States, and they actually screened them for, I guess, what you could say would be the code word that the industry was using for DMBA, and that was the label ingredient called AMP citrate. Now, AMP citrate, if you think about this, this actually sounds natural. It sounds kind of cool. You know, citrate is naturally occurring in many types of citrus fruits, so it sounds natural. And AMP just sounds like we're amping it up. We're putting power, especially, you know, we got AMP citrate. We're going to amp it up. We're going to help people lose weight. So that's what people would look for. They knew if they were taking AMP citrate that it was working, but the issue is they were adulterated. So think about it. Of these 14 supplements that were labeled AMP citrate, how many of them do you think were actually adulterated? It was actually 12 of the 14 contained DMBA. And when this study came out and was published, the FDA then proceeded to issue their adulteration warnings in 2015. That was just 3 years ago, that any supplement which has DMBA is considered adulterated. Like I said, it's a powerful amphetamine-like stimulant. So now we got 2 more off the market, and of course, we need more stimulants. But at this point, it's just a matter of what can these companies put in their products to keep their customers happy. They moved to a couple of agents, BMPEA, this is beta-methylphenethylamine. So phenethylamines are amphetamines. They found a compound which they believed and they claimed that it was isolated from Acacia regula. They also started using picamillion. Now, picamillion is even more dubious because this is, you have no reason to believe that this is naturally occurring ingredient, which should be in any dietary supplement. It's actually a neurological drug that's used in Russia. However, it's never been approved for use in the United States because it just wasn't found safe enough by the FDA. So we're putting in 2 compounds. We're under that kind of cloak of darkness with BMPEA because they're claiming that it's isolated from a natural source. So we can look at a study again from Professor Cohen out of Harvard, and he wanted to look at 21 weight loss supplements. and also performance-enhancing supplements. And he got 21 of these supplements that were labeled with that ingredient, Acacia ridula. So just so you know, I can give you the end of the story. This stimulant, BMPEA, is actually not present in this type of acacia. So again, what's happening is they're labeling it with something and then they're spiking it with the stimulant. So of these 21 stimulants, which were labeled to be all natural and have this ingredient, how many do you think were adulterated? 11 of 21. So nearly half, just like the prior study, nearly half were adulterated with a powerful, unsafe stimulant with severe cardiovascular issues. Now the FDA, of course, they had to make sure their science was all in a row. They did confirm that this ingredient is not present in acacia, and they issued their adulteration warnings in, again, 2015. And now there was a follow-up, and I've lectured on this. I've even presented this at some Shackley conferences because there is a nice case that was advanced in the state of Oregon by their attorney general. They launched a case against GNC, obviously a major distributor of many dietary supplements that a lot of people go to. You can read this online. It's actually a very good read. The case was filed in October 2015, and this is because they were doing an investigation of weight loss in performance supplements. And so they actually went into GNC, they pulled bottles off the shelf, and they also ordered bottles from the internet, and they started testing them. And what they found is 22 of the products that they had contained picamillion, and 7 products contained BMPEA. But the case gets even better, because if you read the case reports, the company actually became aware that their products that they had on their shelf were adulterated with picamillion in 2007, and then BMPEA in 2013. So they were aware that their supplements were being adulterated and spiked with unsafe stimulants that were not on the label. But part of the case was, of course, they did nothing about it. And again, neither of these two ingredients are natural. Picamillion has no natural source. So both of these simply cannot be considered dietary ingredients. Now this is something, this is really this whammy that occurs with people who want to lose weight. People who generally want to lose weight, they want to go and get a weight loss product that's going to help them. But actually, many of these products, and we're seeing how readily available it is to get something that is adulterated with an unsafe stimulant. We're seeing how readily available that is. So they're actually trying to get healthy, but they're giving them something that's not safe. So of course, one more stimulant, and this is kind of the end of this story. This is where the National Center for Natural Products Research comes in. One more stimulant has appeared on the marketplace. This is xylophrene. This, of course, is another amphetamine-like stimulant. It is entirely synthetic. It has another name. It is methylphenephrine. Now you can see how what's happening in these weight loss supplements. You put a stimulant, they put it there, they know it's a powerful stimulant, they give it to customers, and then it gets banned by the FDA, and they immediately put in another unsafe stimulant, which gets banned, and they immediately put in another unsafe supplement, another unsafe stimulant that gets banned. But this one's a little different because this one is known to be a powerful unsafe stimulant that actually has a wider use. It was banned in 2009 by WADA. This is the World Anti-Doping Agencies, because professional athletes would use this. It's a stimulant, so it can give them some benefits when they're competing, especially on a professional stage. So this is something that happened very recently after a number of these stimulants that I said have appeared and been banned by the FDA. They've issued their adulteration warning. So there's a rising prevalence of xylophrene in weight loss supplements. Now this one is kind of even more nasty than some of the other ones because you do have these cardiovascular effects. Doses can lead to vomiting and even cardiac arrest. So it's really not a good compound at all. So here's some research that was just published here just last year. It was a collaboration between Professor Cohen at Harvard Medical as well as the National Center for Natural Products Research. And they basically did a test where they looked at 27 weight loss or performance enhancing supplements that were labeled with some type of xylophrene synonym. So they looked at supplements that they believed might be labeled for this in some way. And they did the test. So how many of you, of these 27 supplements, did you think would be spiked with this unsafe stimulant? 14 of 27. And obviously, the National Center for Natural Products Research, we do have FDA on site. We actually train FDA inspectors on site at the University of Mississippi, and these inspectors specifically inspect the dietary supplement industry. So it's that tight collaboration that allowed the FDA to issue their adulteration warnings to these companies very quickly in 2016. So we're seeing this high rate of adulteration in many weight loss supplements. So our overview, weight loss and some of these performance enhancing supplements, many of them have unsafe stimulants that have been banned. Another option is caffeine. Caffeine is a good stimulant. It works very well. Obviously, you don't want to take high doses. But we're still not done with our story tonight. We've touched on one more point that I'm going to make, and oops, I got 2 more slides here after this one. But I'm going to tell you that we need to look more broadly. We need to look more broadly at weight loss supplements, not just ones that we believe would have stimulants. You came here to say, well, you know, this is too much of a niche. What about just weight loss supplements in general? Why should I a high quality supplement? Why don't I just grab something that's cheap and see if it works? Well, this is that end of the story. Number 3, we've learned that adulterants in weight loss supplements can be withdrawn drugs or unapproved drugs because picamillion is used in Russia and xylophrene is actually used in the United Kingdom, in some of the countries there. So those are drugs that are not approved in the United States. But there are also drugs that have been prescription weight loss drugs that are, for example, on the US market, but then have been withdrawn due to safety issues. The primary one is sibutramine. This was withdrawn from the US market. It was a prescription weight loss drug. It was withdrawn in 2010 because of its associated with an increased incidence of cardiovascular events and stroke. So this is an unsafe weight loss drug. Another thing that they can see in many weight loss supplements are laxatives. Now, laxatives, we've talked about stimulants, we've talked about drugs. Laxatives are another way to get people to lose weight, especially those people that want to lose weight fast. If you're trying to lose weight in 30 days, obviously a good laxative, this is not safe by any means, but that will give people the effect. So these dubious members of the weight loss industry can give a laxative that's not labeled. And usually what they do is they give phenolphthalein. Phenolphthalein is an unsafe laxative that was withdrawn from the market in the United States. So let's go ahead and look at a recent adulteration study that was published in 2016. So 160 natural weight loss supplements. So they looked broadly at many weight loss products. Only those which they had reason to believe which were all natural, labeled all natural, only had vitamins, only had plant extracts. So we're looking much more broadly. Anything that has a stimulant or is labeled as a stimulant, this study omitted. So I want you to think on this broad scale, how many of these supplements do you think would be adulterated? Well, let's take a look. 43 contained sibutramine. This is an unsafe weight loss drug, again, that's been withdrawn from the US market. And 9 contained phenolphthalein. And 23 of them contain both sibutramine and phenolphthalein. So just like all the other studies, even more broadly, as a group, the adulteration rate of dietary supplements for weight loss is pretty solid 50%. So we're talking about 46% adulteration rate. To me, that's just astounding. But again, this is one of the major take-home messages that I really try to give to my pharmacy students is such a high rate. Now let's hit on with my last slide for the evening. Many people, it's gotten really popular now. They're talking about Chinese traditional medicine. You know, let's get back to natural. Chinese traditional medicine is really booming. If you read Nutrition Business Journal, people love these supplements. They think they're fantastic. They think, again, it's all natural. And many people say if it's all natural, it's just all safe. If it's from ancient Chinese medicine, again, it's only going to help me. So here's a study that was published last year. 120 natural Chinese weight loss supplements. How many of these do you think were adulterated? 27 contain sibutramine. And the other thing that's a little more scary to me is 20 of the 27 actually had very high concentrations of sibutramines. The usual dose of sibutramine is about 10 milligrams per day. Some of these products contain nearly 100 milligrams of sibutramine in a 1 gram batch. So that's 10 times the dose of a drug which was found to be unsafe and withdrawn from the market. And that was present in many of these supplements. So that's my last slide. I hope that you've really had a good perspective as to what's going on in the weight loss section of dietary supplements. Again, I like to say it's really important to consider top quality dietary supplements, especially if you're trying to support health, lose weight, get healthy. Couple that focus on good nutrition with some nice exercise is the way to go. But in the case of weight loss supplements, be very careful about pulling some random thing off the shelf. And I can almost certainly guarantee that some of these, when we announced we were going to be doing this webinar, and some people suggested that they're trying these new supplements, I can probably say the next 5 to 10 years, I still be giving this type of talk, some of those products are going to turn up and they're going to be adulterated. So keep a lookout for them, and thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, David. I always learn so much, and I was taking notes here, and we'll open up for questions in a second. But I just want to say, when I got involved with my wellness business about 8 years ago, and I started to understand from David and just learning about adulteration and supplements, and that the Food and Drug Administration does not police companies that make supplements, weight loss or otherwise. It was really eye-opening to me. So this is fantastic, and I'm really glad that you're here to pronounce all those big words and know all the details on that. Does anybody have any questions for David? Want to unmute yourself and ask? I do want to mention, I mentioned this earlier if you came in a little late, that if you want to hear a little bit longer of a talk that David's done on adulteration of dietary supplements in general, that is archived at the Better Health in 31 Days site, which I have access to, and I'm sure several people do, so ask around. I'm glad to share that with you. And he did a couple talks there that are really good and a little bit more expansive on this topic if you're interested in that. Tomorrow, for those of you who might be interested, I'm going to be doing a Zoom on the Shaklee as a business, the earnings and benefits plan. So if you're interested in that, it's tomorrow night, same time. I'm glad to share that. And next month, David will be coming back for his last of the summer health chats on August the 8th, I believe it is. It's a Wednesday. I don't know if you have a title for that talk yet, David. I can share the topic, but do you have I don't have it written down if you do. And if not, that's okay. I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah, I was going to talk about, the title would be Surprising Rejection Rates in academia and marketing.
Yeah.
Really some comparisons as to when you think about, submitting peer-reviewed publications, how difficult is it to get a paper published? Submitting a grant for funding research, how difficult is it to get that grant funded? And then also comparing to, when you make that sales call, how likely is it for that sales call to actually go through? There are a lot of similarities, so I'm looking forward to that talk. I think it will be kind of surprising when you actually look at the numbers as to what the success rates are.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, I think that's gonna be really interesting. So that's August 8th before we head off to Las Vegas. And next week, Wednesday, we're also gonna be doing one on skincare and keeping your skin healthy this summer. So y'all are welcome to join us for those. Before we close, does anybody have any last minute questions or comments? Oh, I think I see something in the chat. Let me see here. Okay, let's see. Pam says, let's see, oh, you're with Mary Bias, and she can, okay. Yes, I will send you the link. If anybody wants, I better write that down, because once I exit out of here, I'm not gonna be able to see your email again, Pam. If you don't hear from me, send me a message on Facebook. Paulette says, my friend Paulette says, that was wonderful, wonderful presentation, David. Thank you so much. Anybody else have any questions or comments? You can unmute if you do. If not, thank you all for being on tonight, and we just appreciate you sharing, David, as always. And if you all want the recording, please send me a message if you don't hear from me, and I'll make sure y'all get that, okay?